Somebody else, hold on, I'm trying to admit somebody else, Jason. Right. It's a big list. I'm just checking that I've got everybody in and I've not left anybody out. Yeah, that's everybody in, it looks like, Jason.
Would you like to give Peter a few more minutes, or do you think he's had enough?
Just tried ringing again and I can't get through. It's just engaged. So
perhaps we should give him one more phone call, and then we've tried to include him.
Hello? Oh yeah, can you? You're not even on it anymore. Can you not get it up back up? Yeah.
Just bear with us all, please. We're trying to get Peter back into the meeting.
Okay.
Right, you can't get back on it. He's put the meeting ID in and now it's saying he can't join, so we might have to just start without him.
What would you like us to do, Emma?
I have to start without him. He can't get back on it. He's putting the ID in and it's telling him it's not the right one. So he can't get on it at all now.
Okay.
So I don't know if he's putting the wrong number in or he's asking Val to help him, but
he's asking
his wife to help him in a minute, but
yeah, okay.
We'll have to start.
Shall we start and then he can take over if he finally joins in?
Yeah, I'm gonna watch for him, and if he pops up, I'll join him, obviously put him in.
Okay. Right, okay, so good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Chapel Parish Amenities Committee meeting. This is the first time that I will have chaired a meeting, so it's highly likely I will make a mistake along the way. So I'll get my apologies in early. I will do my very best. It's a huge honour to be chair of one of these meetings. Something that I'm not really prepared for, because at 2 o'clock this afternoon I was actually I stood aside for Councillor Harrison, and unfortunately Peter's struggling to join the meeting now, so I'm back in the chair, so to speak. So item 1 on the agenda is public speaking. Is there anybody on here who would like to speak who is not a member of the council, please? I'm guessing that that's a no.
I've not seen anybody. Yeah, I've not seen anybody.
Yeah. So number one successfully ticked off. We can move on to number two. Apologies for absence.
We've got no apologies, but obviously Peter's trying his best at the minute. So
yeah, okay. So okay, so we'll move on to number three then, please, Emma.
Yeah.
And the memorial part. Now we've got quite a lot to try and get through tonight. But on this first one in particular, the park path improvements, I'd ask you to mute me and put me in the waiting room, please, Emma. And then somebody else will have to take this one further forward.
Okay, bear with me a second. Does anybody know when it's? Let me just mute you then, love. Right, okay, Jason's muted. About the path park improvements. As you know, the paths have been redone in the park, and I believe there's an issue with a section of it with grass coming back through the tarmac, etc. Now, the park manager's obviously not at the meeting this evening, but he has spoken to me today, and he said that he is getting the repairs done. He's already spoken to Jill Brady, and he said it's just a small section. So he said he's got that in hand, and he's not overly concerned about it. He said it's not a big section of the path. Has anybody else had any concerns over it at all? Chris? Oh, hold on, Christian.
Okay, I'm muted myself. Yeah, I'm just concerned, obviously we signed, how did, to me, was there some sort of sign-off procedure or what? I'm a bit confused about this because obviously we paid the bill.
Yeah, Phil would have been there, but obviously he's not here, so I don't know exactly what would have happened.
Okay, what do we do? We get a report through from the park manager or what, when it's finished? Or
he tells us when it's finished, yeah, but obviously the park manager knows a lot more about tarmacking than I do, and he was happy with what had been done, and he said it's just a small section at the minute. So he said he's got them to come back. He's spoken to them, and they're going to come in and have a look at it. I believe.
It seemed to be quite a bit more than a small section. I got the impression.
That's what he's just said to me this afternoon. So I'm not too sure how big a section it is, but he said it was a bit, and he's spoken to Jill Brady. So, Tony.
Yeah, I'm just echoing what Chris says, really. If we've got weeds coming through, then there's obviously an issue about the quality of the... sorry, can you hear me all right? There's like a real background noise, and I can't... There's like child speaking or something, sorry. I was echoing what Chris said then. If we have got an area that's been breached, does raise issue about the quality. I don't know what the size of this thing is between what's small and what's large. But I think we ought to have a general inspection again of perhaps the path and just find out if there's any other issues, because weeds coming through on tarmac shouldn't really happen. I'm no expert, but I would imagine that there's a quality issue there that does need to be addressed, as we have paid the bill. So yeah, I'd be interested to find out what we've got there, what result we get.
Do you want me to speak to Phil and get Phil to ask Brady's to come down and kind of go all around everything that's been redone and have a look at it all?
Good idea, that.
Yeah, I think so, because we paid for it, and it's a quality of service issue, isn't it? As Chris said, we need to. I think we need to get that addressed. It wasn't cheap, so it needs to be done that way. Yeah.
I'll speak to Phil then. Okay.
Yeah.
So is that done? I'll put Jason back in. Hold on. Right, Jason, I'll put you back in. I can see Peter, but I still don't think his microphone's on. So
Okay. So you're comfortable with the peak path improvements, right? Centenary celebrations, the working group update. There's really nothing to update, I guess, is the short answer to that one, Emma.
There isn't, because obviously it's not happened this year, has it? With COVID, there's no point pursuing it. So I suppose, do you want it? Do you want to still carry on with it next year? Because obviously a lot of things have been delayed, haven't they? So I don't see why we shouldn't celebrate it, but it's obviously up to you guys.
Chris?
Right. Two things. Right. Yeah, it's 100-year anniversary of the park, which was basically part of the veterans coming home and all that sort of thing. So it's historically and socially very important locally. Now, my wife, if she can't hear me at the moment, thank goodness, had a major birthday this year, and she did have everything booked, but that's been she decided to put it off exactly 1 year, and I wondered if we should do the same exactly. But maybe we should also do something this year that doesn't require that's something different, that's something maybe veteran related. And I was just wondering whether we should look at maybe making a veteran a honorary townsman or something like that this year, which I think would be a very fitting thing, because I don't think anyone could sort of take umbrance at that, that something like that, maybe we could put that forward to the main council, because it's, because this is veteran related, it's the end of the war, the, people pulling together to get stuff done, and that, and it just seems to be a sort of appropriate thing.
Would anybody else like to add anything?
Carol and Stuart have got their hand up.
Who has Caroline? Yeah.
Carol, yeah, Carol.
Please. Councillor Cobb, should I say?
She's muted.
Can you hear us? Oh, his must have gone off as well.
Okay. Councillor Young, would you like to speak while Councillor Cobb gets...
Yes, if I may, Jason, because I know I'm not on this committee, but I do feel that we should do a celebration. And yes, I agree with putting it off for 12 months, because in all honesty, there was the arguments at the beginning about when did we actually get the park and when did we open the park, because of the deeds when they were handed over and when we actually put stuff in there for people to use it. Because some people said, oh, how come you're doing it so early? We thought it was 2022 or 23 or something like that. So I don't think, in the grand scheme of things, by putting it off a year because of COVID would cause any problems whatsoever.
Okay. Councillor Cobb, would you like to join in?
No, I don't think hers is working either.
Okay, yeah. Councillor Cobb, we can't hear
you. Councillor Ban's got is also wanting to say something.
Councillor Ban?
Yeah, just on what Stuart said there, I actually would agree with Stuart. And on the proposal that we check and see the actual proper dates as well. I think that would be a good process to do. At least we'd have the factual rights then, and then just postpone it for the 12 months. That's all I just wanted to say.
Has anybody else got anything they'd like to add while Councillor Cobb gets the volume sorted? On this, Emma.
Oh, sorry, I think Stella wanted, yeah. Sorry.
I was just going to say the plaque for this, because I've just joined it, was the plaque for the Centurion as well.
Yeah, the plaque on the
yeah, because that's still not there yet, is it? So
no, you do need to agree what you want on this plaque. Do you want the town's sort of logo and then the dates, because obviously it's for the centenary, so if you just put the logo on, there's going to be no dates, is there? So people actually know it's to mark the 100 years. There's quite a big gap that feels left for the stone. So you should be able to have quite a bit of stuff on there, or do you just want the dates? It's up to you.
If someone's saying the dates are might be wrong, we need to know the exact dates before we do the plaque, don't we?
Yeah, the date when the land was given to us was this year, so it would have been 100 this year.
To have the date on, yeah. I think it needs putting on to finish off that flower bed, because the flower's looking very pretty, and if and then you've got that spoiling it.
Okay, Emma.
Yeah.
Can I just add something to this, please?
Yeah.
I think last year we agreed that July, August 21 we would celebrate 100 years of the memorial park. And I'm right in thinking that at one of the full monthly meetings we allocated a certain amount of money to this venture. The last amenities meeting in October 19, I left there with the impression that we were going to form a community group that would help assist the parish council in putting something together in the park. I went away and made 1 or 2 inquiries and got 1 or 2 people interested. However, nothing's materialised since. In recent times, I'd just like to put on record that it wasn't because of lack of interest. A member of our staff suggested to me that they were under the impression that nobody wanted a celebration. I just like that on record, that we do actually want a celebration of the park.
Yeah. So I believe at the full council meeting after that one, so I think the November full council meeting, it was agreed that there'd be a working party and members of the public would be invited to join that.
Yeah.
So obviously that can be started.
Yeah.
And then obviously head towards July 2021. But obviously this, like Stella said, the flower beds there, it's looking really well. So if we just get this, get the plaque made, obviously it's then up to you, because if it's not going to be till 2021, do you really want to put it on already? Because you're kind of jumping the gun, aren't you, with it? I could maybe ask Phil just for now, just to put some stone in it so it doesn't look like an empty gap, till maybe July next year. I don't. People are going to keep asking, aren't they? They're going to go, oh, why is that not finished?
Yeah. Councillor Sizeland?
It's getting on for a year ago now, when it was all supposed to be, the organisation was supposed to start. Now, the important thing that people distress, you've got to book things, up to a year in advance.
Yeah.
Now, I know the last few months we've had COVID, but it's been a long pit. If we hadn't had COVID, would we, it would have been a very poor event, because everybody would have been booked up, and I don't want that to happen again, if we have it next year. If we've got to have it, we've got to start organising now, just like we said nearly a year ago, we've got to start organising now, but nothing happened,
Okay, point noted, Councillor Sizeland. Councillor Ban?
Yeah, just on that, I think the best thing for us to do then would be organising ourselves into another works committee and party with members of the public, and let's get it started and get the ball rolling for next year's celebrations. And just one other thing, just to reiterate what Stella was talking about, I think that the logo, the chapel logo, should be put on with them dates on that plaque as well. And I can't see any reason why we can't put the plaque in now. At least, cover the hole in and have it there and done.
Thank you, Councillor Ban. Councillor Walters?
I've had a lot to do with the New Mills Festival, as people know. So the lady that actually runs that for the past 9-10 years has offered to come and speak to a committee and give you the heads up on all the information you need to get people involved and what you need to do and everything. So if you do decide that you want a working group, I can get Mrs. Bannister to come and speak to you all, and we can get an idea of what we actually have to do to get the celebrations up and running and get the paperwork in, because she works from November to September, so it does take 12 months to work out. Sorry. So
Right. So if you are going to have this working group, who is going to kind of chair it? Who's going to be the driving force of it?
I don't mind being involved with it, because, like I said, I've helped with the New Mills Festival for a few years, but I don't want the responsibility of everything because of running the business. But
can I suggest that we all, whoever is willing to go on this working group, we work all together, and then we can actually take action individually in what we can do and what we're capable of doing. Like Stella takes some of the work, I could do some of it, even Chris himself if he wants to come on. And just we take some actions of what we want to do for this to make it easier on the load of doing it for next year.
yeah, well, I'm happy with that. I think if we're going to celebrate, we need to get it started up and running, get a committee up and get it started now for next year, because it's less than a year if we're doing it July.
Yeah.
Sorry, can I just say, you've already agreed the working group will be all the members of the Amenities Committee plus Councillor Young. So that has already previously been agreed.
We just need to know who's going to chair it. And
Chris,
I mean, could we not decide that when we get together and then see who's going to take hands on and what responsibilities we will take? I'm sure we could have another separate meeting on that together, us all deciding who's going to do what.
if you want, you can ask me to set the meetings, dates and times, and I'll set the dates and times for you to have a meeting.
Yeah.
Can a meeting be arranged then as soon as, and then we can all get together who want to be on it, and then decide and do a plan of action on getting speakers in and things like that.
If you just hold on one sec, let Jason back in. Oh, he dropped out there. Hold on, let me unmute him as well. Jason's dropped out there.
Okay.
They were going on about the working group, Jason, that obviously it was all the amenities plus Stuart.
Right.
And we just needed somebody to kind of be the driving force in it. I said, I will set up the dates and times for meetings if you want. Obviously, you can use the annex up here when you're allowed back in. But you do need one of the councillors, maybe, I think, to be the main focus. Otherwise, it's just going to get a bit messy.
Okay, then, councillors, do we have a volunteer who would like to head this group and work with the other councillors and members of the public to get this off the ground?
I think we need a meeting first. Let's get a meeting done and let's do a plan of action and see how much time people have, because it's a lot of time to chair something like this and get it up and running.
Well, while you're all on here now, then, do you want to tell me when to book this for?
Right.
You need to get it done sort of sooner rather than later.
Right.
Councillor Dales?
Yeah, I think, Chair, as well, you know, on reinventing the wheel, Stella's come up with a very good point that we've got somebody at our disposal who's been doing this for the best part of 10 years. I would like her at the first meeting to get a feeling of what we expect to do. I'd love to be involved in it, really would. I think it's completely important for this town that this doesn't go unrecognised and that it's a quality event. And I think we you know, as experts as we are in different things, this is totally new to me. And I would very much like to hear what Mrs. Bannister's got to say. I'm happy with what Stella's proposal is there. I don't know about everyone else. But, you know, I really want to get involved in it.
Councillor Walters?
What I'll do then, I'll get in touch with Mrs. Bannister tomorrow and find out what evenings she's free or when, get a few dates off and then go back to Emma, and then Emma can work on that. Does that suit everybody?
Yes.
Perfect.
And then if people put down what they'd like at these celebrations, so that when we've got a meeting, we've got some path of which way we're going. Yeah.
Agreed.
Oh, we've all agreed.
Okay. Emma, I guess, would you like to have a vote on that, Emma, or are we okay with saying that everyone's in agreement?
No, everyone's agreed. It's fine. So I'll wait for some dates off Stella, and then I'll email you all out and see what you can, what everybody, or the majority of people can get to, really.
Fabulous. And before we move on from this one, just briefly, where did we get to with the stone, please, Emma? So I dropped out. So
we didn't overly agree on exactly what was going on. I think a couple of people agreed that you need the logo and the dates, but whether you want it going on now, when people saying it's not 2021, or whether you want Phil just to put something temporary in there so it looks finished, it's up to you.
Okay, Councillor Ban.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, just sorry, Councillor Hudson. What I did say was I would like to see that stone in place now with the date and with the the chapel logo on it. I think it's filling the gap and it's in there. At least it's going to make it set nice. But I mean, it's down to everyone on the agreement. But I think it should be done now.
Councillor Walters.
And not just going back on that, I think, yes, I do want to see the plaque, but if we're definitely doing a celebration, then we could have the unveiling of the plaque at the celebration. So therefore, get someone to come and do that, which might be, get more people there. And so actually take Emma's, sorry Paddy, but take Emma's thing and just put stone in for now. And they get the plaque measured up and kind of do an unveiling at the celebration. And then it kind of makes it more important for the park, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But don't know what anyone else thinks.
Anybody else got any ideas on that? No. Right. Emma, where do we go with that one? Oh, Councillor Young.
I was just going to come back on what I'd said earlier in the respect of we had found out that the park was given to us on the year. So if we are going to use the year's date and use the 2020 date, even though we might be unveiling it in 2021, because of what COVID has caused, I think most people would appreciate and wouldn't worry, and the plaque would still actually denote that it was 100 years of the park.
Point taken. Councillor Sizeland.
Might be later on in the agenda, but the COVID snake, I'd like it to be set round that planter because it's obviously the important part of this year, and maybe Phil could set it, in sort of some cement round it. Probably won't be all the snake, but a symbolic amount of it. I just thought that might be an idea. That specific planter.
Noted, Councillor Sizeland. So Emma.
Yeah.
From that, where do we head here now then? We've got a mixed bunch here, really.
I know, yeah.
Would anybody like to make any proposals? Councillor Ban? No, he's gone.
All right. So, Councillor Ban wanted obviously the plaque to go in now.
Councillor Sizeland speaking. Sorry, Emma. Councillor Sizeland.
Can we be sent the sort of the possible designs that have been moved so that we can, make an opinion on them? We're sort of flying blind here.
Noted. Yeah, Emma, I think that's probably the wisest thing before we make any motions. We maybe should have a look at what we want on this stone.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Yeah. I'll ask Gwen Hart to do me some proofs and email them over.
So can we revisit this at the next Amenities Committee meeting then, please?
Yeah, I'll put it down for the next one, and hopefully I'll have some proofs off them.
Okay. Is everybody okay with that? We're going to revisit this at the very next meeting when we've got a little bit more clarity. Okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. We'll move on. CCTV and lighting quotes. Anything there, Emma, please?
This is going back quite a while now. I believe Chris met a gentleman in the park from a company, well, this is going back to kind of November last year. I think we need to get a certain spec to work off by a CCTV engineer so that they can advise us, on all the data protection and all that kind of thing. And once you've got that actual spec, that has to be given to all of them, so they've all got the same thing to work off. Obviously, we can't do it because we're not CCT engineer. We don't know what we're not professionals. So I think we do need to kind of get the first company to give us a spec and then get the others to work off it. I've never had anything back, even from November, to be fair, from the company, but I'm not sure whether they
basically, I did a back of a fag packet spec, as you probably remember at a previous meeting. I was asked to meet, because we're going to get free quotes. I was asked to, and the idea was basically that we use that spec, but we agreed at the time, we use that spec, but we ask the companies to bring their own ideas to the table as well on top of that. Basically, I know the meeting I was asked to attend just to go through it, because since at the main meeting they'd mentioned lighting, I'd asked them to also quote for lighting on the columns as well. Now, one thing that did become very clear is this: it can be quite expensive, but the company from Wadybridge, when I went through it with them, I'm upset if they have not quoted, because they're the only specialist one locally that I understand. But any electrician can quote. But they're talking about like 4 poles in strategic places, but there's a possibility to do it in phases, because your power is in around the par cut, and that's where you'd have your recorder. So basically you'd have underground channels, so you could do it in like phases. So you'd go to sort of, if you come to the first one, but then from there you could expand to the others. Okay, you'd like, in a perfect world, you'd like all these 4 put together, but the first one you could possibly do sort of standalone, but with the capacity to expand. It's just that it's not, it wouldn't be a cheap business. It wouldn't be a cheap business, but this would get it started, and then we could add a pole each year. That was what did come out of that meeting. But can
I just come in?
Yeah.
I think if you're going to have, you need to get a specification drawn up so everybody can quote the same. You can't have like 3 people quoting and adding what they think. Everybody needs to quote on a level playing field. And I think we've got members of the public in the park, so we need to think about GDPR and who we're filming and how we're doing it and how we're storing it, how long we're keeping it for. It's all those sorts of things. And I'm pretty sure the electric phasing into the park hut is at capacity. So there's going to have to be some work done there to see how we can increase that. So I sort of think we need something more tangible before we start getting people to quote.
Thank you for that, Sue. Noted. Councillor Ban.
Yeah, just on that, to be honest with you, we do need a specialist, because if you remember going back a few years ago, when CCTV had been brought into Chapel and Whaley and all that, they did bring in a specialist to be able to strictly put cameras in certain places. They know the law of what we can and what we can't do. And actually, before we even get quotes, I think it would be money well spent to be advised by somebody out there that knows what they're talking about, and actually tell us what's the best way of planning this. And when that's done, we can then ask for companies to come in and get ourselves 3 quotes on the specification that we all agree to.
Councillor Young, then Councillor Sizeland, please.
If you remember on this one, Chairman, the question did come up at full council because of the CCTV in Chapel and the King's Arms and everything, and the Borough Council was setting up using a new CCTV engineer, replacement, etc., and they were going to let us have the name of that company. I don't know whether they ever did do as such, because we said that would be a starting point, because they are doing it for all of the borough councils CCTVs. I know there's lighting involved here as well, but for the whole of the borough as such, and they would say in the respect of what you can and can't do, and also where you would need your electric to come from. Because if I remember rightly, it was said that there isn't enough power at the Bowling Green hut for us to supply any of this lot. We would need a new supply coming down Bowling Green Lane to where the old toilets were and start afresh there, because we did actually mention about having anything there for charging or doing anything of our vehicles, because that's where our compound is. That is just all in my memory from discussions, if that helps any of these.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Simon?
Right. I know when I at work, when we had our first CCTV in, I got the police have a person who will advise you, and he came out to see us, but to be quite honest, I was not very impressed. To be honest, it was just very generalisation, you know, sort of man in the pub sort of business. But Councillor Young's idea, maybe to get the IP council people out, would be probably better. Can we task Stuart to actually contact them and get them to see if they can visit, please? On top of that, I wasn't under the impression that they used a lot of electricity. Okay, if we have lighting as well, but I don't know, what are they about? 250 watts? What's the? I thought you were talking about a kilowatt in total. You know,
yeah, just for everything. To paint a picture about the electricity at the park. If Phil has got something plugged in, and then say Dennis would come in and flick the kettle on, it'd blow it. We are that much at capacity that they literally can't have the two things on at once. So, I mean, you know, that's just something to think about in the whole grand scheme of things.
Chair.
Councillor Van.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with Chris and Stuart. Yes, bring in the borough, get that advisor out there, and get the ball rolling. At least the sooner we get it done, then at least we know where we are when we get prices in and where we stand money-wise with the CCTV, because we know, and as you know yourself, CCTV is not the best Gremlin here that we have in this area. So yeah, I think Stuart Young should go and have a word with them and get a meeting up with us.
Councillor Cobb?
I haven't got sound on.
Okay.
Councillor Cobb, you still have no sound. No.
No, we can't. We can't hear you, Carol.
Okay, well, Councillor Cobb is dealing with the technical side of things.
What I would just say with that, Jason, is I'll call in the town hall and meet Sue or Emma or whatever, and we'll do it as a joint thing with the Borough Council. Then they know it's official and it's what we want.
Brilliant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So what I get from that then is that we're no further forward from the October meeting.
You're muted.
And that we're asking to postpone this until the next meeting again. Is that okay? Is that what we're saying? Everybody in agreement with that?
Yeah.
Okay. So do we need a vote on that, Emma? Or are you okay with the?
No, you've all agreed. So I'll work with
to the next agenda then, please.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody. I am conscious of the time in the planning committee, so we are going to try and have to get through some of these a bit quicker. But the mugger now, please, Emma.
The mugger. So I've emailed you all out some quotes for fencing and bits and pieces. I believe you've had a meeting. Unfortunately, I obviously wasn't at work, so I'm not too 100% sure on what was said at that meeting. But I know you've both got something off Wicksteed and Steelworks, but then also Sue has taken the picture from Bakewell actually this weekend. I don't know if that's more what you're looking at or whether we're going to do anything with it or not.
Okay, Councillor Simon, would you like to take the floor, please?
Yeah, so Jason says that because me and Jason spent quite a lot of time on this. Right.
No, you were laying on the floor.
Sorry. Right, we've had meetings with Wicksteed, we've had meetings with Steelworks, we've had meetings with the neighbours. Now, the first thing that's come out is that there's a lot of problems with the mugger. What happened, it was a different mugger that was installed to the one we got planning permission for. Lots of differences to it. And it doesn't appear to have had any building inspection regulations, which is normal, whether, you know, most things, whether you need planning permission or not, need building inspection. Now,
can I just come in now before you go further, just to tell everybody we didn't need planning permission for it. The only reason that planning permission was sought was so that neighbours would have the chance to be consulted. So we could have just put it in without any planning permission whatsoever, and we've confirmed that it didn't need building regulations.
Okay, can you send me a copy of the confirmation, because we couldn't find it in the file at all.
Done by phone, sorry.
Right. Right, with the planning permission, once we got planning permission, we're duty bound to actually comply with that planning permission, as I understand it. So that's where the first problem came in. Now, God, it does sound like a child's voice in the background. Now, the noise problem, there was an extension to it. Now,
can I just interrupt you? Everybody who's listening, please, if you're not actually speaking, could you put your screens on mute? Because we do seem to have some kind of interference. So we're hearing chatter. If that's okay. Thank you very much. Councillor Siland, if you continue, please.
Thank you. An extension to the height was put in. Now, it appears that that was put in the wrong way round, back to front. Now, there's been a lot of problems with it, and also inspections and that. It has never been put on our official inspection list. So even though High Peak Council occasionally inspected it, they did so by mistake. You know, they might have a different inspector and he didn't know he wasn't supposed to inspect it. So there's a lot of issues here. Now,
sorry, can I just come in there again? It has been inspected every month because we've confirmed that they speak to the park keeper when they come. So they have done it with the play area, even though they're saying it's not on the list, but that's something we're querying.
If I could just interrupt Councillor Sizen there and refer back to the clerk there. We're not saying that the inspections haven't been taken place. What we might be questioning is the quality of these inspections. I feel that the parish of Chapel have been let down incredibly badly by High Peak Borough Council. I have got copies of I've asked for all of the inspections on a number of occasions now. I've got three of the most recent, and it's quite clear that the inspectors are not speaking to each other because some are passing it as okay, and some are saying it's not okay. It's very difficult to actually work out what's going on. Councillor Seisland.
Yes, some of the inspections High Peak Council have inspected it, some they haven't. Now, moving forward, what I'd like to propose, and I think Councillor Ades is in agreement, that we do ask for free quotes for alternative inspections from other inspectors. You know, because the variability of this, there's been such a variability of inspection. So if I don't know if I've got a seconder for that.
Councillor Seisland, just before we move on, please, if I could just reach out to the Amenities Committee. During my time at Federal Mogul, I have become well versed in doing safety audits, and given the meetings, the concerns of the local residents, I did take it upon myself to visit the park on a number of occasions, and I have actually carried out a number of audits around there. it's safe to say that the audit we're getting on the mugger is a passing glance rather than an actual audit. And I've picked up on a number of issues that would cause anybody concern. What Chris is asking is that that we go out into the general market, the open market, and check how competitive High Peterborough Council are, and if we can get a better service for the same amount of money. Councillor Dales.
Yeah, I appreciate what you're saying, Chair. For me, it's just about resolving that issue. You know, the moving the way forward. I hear what's been going on before. Well, before I came onto the council, I think things have been going on since 2010, I believe. The question is now, how do we take it forward? And I do see this thing with the netting that's come forward, which I've seen from Bakewell, which seems a very, very reasonable way of addressing the back of the mugger and the problems that we have with the lady who's had all the issues. And it's just, whilst I agree about the audits, because the audits have got to continue, we need them of a quality in the future. I think what's happened before now has happened, and we need to look. I'm in total agreement that we need to do something for the community around there. Children play, yes, they do. I understand that, and that goes without saying. We've all had kids, we've all been kids. They need to play, but we need to do something for the community that removes that problem at the back of the mugger. And as I say, I don't know if Councillor Seisel was actually saying this in what he was saying, but I'd be looking at, you know, developing something similar to what I've seen on the photographs with the netting that may resolve the problem. But, you know, because we've got to resolve this problem. We can't sit here and do nothing. We need to do something. And so that was just my comment for the meeting. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Right. On what you were saying there, Councillor, I said I would be totally agreeing about putting it out to tender for other people to come and do a proper job on it. But before we do that, I think money well spent is bringing an independent in to go around that mucker like a fine-tooth comb and exactly get it back to where it should be, get them to check it, and then put it out that we have people do an audit on it once a month. But we need somebody to come in and go around that mugger, the whole lot of it, and put it right first. It should be put right first, and that's the noise, all these adapters that need to be put on. It has to be fixed. It has to be done right, and never let it go down or deteriorate again. I did make a suggestion about netting for it some time ago, that we put up netting on the backs to save these balls and that going into the good people's gardens or onto their property.
Councillor Young.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, on this one. Yes, obviously, I am disgusted of how the state of it has got over the years, because I was party to it years ago when we put it in with this Steelway company. Fortunately, the gentleman that came out from Steelway was the man that put it in, and half of what Paddy has just said there, he was saying that if they were to do the changing of the ends and the repairing and the work that we've had the prices for, he would check all the way round, and we would be back to where we were 9-10 years ago, as it goes, Paddy, on that one. Which I think would probably be a starting point from what they'd said they'd do, taking the pieces that are down broken at one end, use all the spare bits to repair the other end, and at least get that to a state of repair. We would probably be better having the fence like Sue has taken the pictures of, because that's what we've got all the way around the high school and everything. It's nothing unusual, that fencing as such, and that could be put in, but we would have to apply for planning permission to do that. So I think we would need a decision tonight to actually apply for the planning permission to check that we could even put a fence there, before we even go down the line of spending the money, and knowing that the planning department would let us do that. But once you've done all that, then I think you need to go down the lines of what Chris has said, that we need to know that the thing is being inspected, because if it hadn't been inspected properly and the repairs that have taken place over the years, that we would not be in this position, because 10, 11 years ago, when it was all done, it was all in good nick and all okay, and we weren't having these problems. It's disgraceful the way it is now. It's absolutely disgusting, and it needs to be sorted.
One moment, Councillor Batt. Sorry. If we could just go in order, please. Can I have Councillor Sizeland, then Councillor Gawley, and then yourself, then Councillor up first. Sorry, Councillor Sizeland.
Okay, if I give a praise of what the manufacturers have said and that, and also the residents. Can people mute their microphones? The noise is on again, please. Right. I think it's Councillor Bands. Right. Okay, Wicksteed have quoted for replacement ends, which are the same height as the present ones, but the top meter is cranked. That came in today, but it's a fortune, and somehow it's not proven to work. It's no higher than the present one, and right, that's not my particular favoured option. The Steelworks, they suggested a fence like Sue's pictures at the boundary to catch the ball once it went over. Now, the resident who's most affected getting the ball in their garden has said they would oppose that. Very strongly oppose that. Now, while it's still an option, I think because of that, we should explore other options instead. But that would have been a much cheaper option to have a second boundary fence. Now, the third option, which has been mooted, is to have a few feet back from each end of the mugger, netting on poles, which is now, if the ball goes past, and that would be part of taking away the present extension, which resonates, well, it's falling to pieces for a start, but it resonates so badly that it makes the noise problem 10 times worse. I mean, my suggestion would be, one, in the short term, we take away the extension because it's dangerous and it makes the noise a lot worse. And we get quotes for netting on poles. Basically, it'll start, say, 3 meters up and then go for another 2 meters. I think it'd be visually probably reasonable, fairly okay, and it would stop it going into the ball. And it should be a relatively cheap option. And also there's various maintenance works on the actual vein mugger. These things that need doing. The screws need tightening. There's a broken bracket which makes such, when it hits that part, it's like a steel drum goes off. Anyway, that's my feeling.
Okay, no, thank you, Councillor Sizeland. Councillor Gawley, please.
Yes, I think Chris covered most of the things that I wanted to say. The main thing was that when I talked to the neighbours about the idea about putting a fence along their boundary wall, alongside the railings, which are their boundary at the moment, they were dead set against it.
Noted, thank you. Councillor Ban.
Yeah, just getting back to this. Right, all these pictures of the fencing and stuff like that, it is good, it really is, but we have to think of the people who live opposite the park or behind that mucker. We need to stop the projectile of balls going into their property. And as it did say weeks and weeks ago, let's slap up a net. Is it going to be the cheapest option to do? But we need the mucker sorted. It needs to be repaired to a high standard. It needs to stop making all these noises. That needs to be totally redone. And we need to get that done as soon as possible to show faith to the people across from us that we are on working, and the netting will dead that ball. It ain't going to go anywhere. It's not going to go in there. No matter how many times they say, let's try and kick it over, it will dead.
Okay, so I'm very conscious of time here. We have got a very, very long list, and we could discuss this mugger all night, but we've got a couple of proposals from Councillor Sizeland. One is that he'd like the council to agree on getting extra quotes for parks inspections. Does anybody second that? Councillor Walters, you second that? Okay. Okay, so if this is to the Amenities Committee members only, please, can I ask who actually supports that motion from Councillor Sizeland?
Yeah,
Councillor Dales, you do?
Yeah, I do.
Councillor Band, are you in? Yeah.
Yeah.
And Councillor Green, sorry, I couldn't see your head there. So that's 5-4. And anybody against? Okay, so that's moving forward. Emma, could we get 3 alternative quotes, please, for parks inspections? Emma?
Yeah, sorry, I was muting myself.
Okay, I thought you'd
no,
gone.
I forgot I was chatting away to you. Yeah, we'll get off. I'll put that down.
Okay.
It's fine.
Now, the second proposal that I took from Councillor Sizeland was that he wishes the extension parts that are currently up, you'd like them taken down until such measures can be put into place that we can put something more permanent there. Is that correct, Councillor Sizeland?
Yes, it is.
Do I have a seconder for that, please? Okay, well, at this point, I'm going to need your help here, because I'd like to second that one. Oh,
Yeah.
am I allowed to do that in my role?
Stella, are you seconding it, Stella? Yeah.
Yeah. Can I just say one thing though? Can we let the neighbours know the reason why we're taking that down, to try and I forgot what the word is, make it less noisy. So and it's not going, and we're not doing anything about it. It's just to know the concern will be that, oh, well, that's it, they took it down.
One moment, Councillor Dales, Councillor Ingram, if I could just throw this into the equation for you, please. The reason why I'm going to support this motion is that currently the mugger is in a state of disrepair, I guess is a right word, and the noise that it's been made worse by ill-fitting panels. So I wouldn't generally ask for this to come down, but what I would ask it to do, bring it down short term with the aim of finding a solution quickly. Sorry, Councillor Dales.
Yeah, totally support the taking away that bit that resonates, because it's just dreadful. But the thought of getting that netting up is something, with taking it down and the ball going over still, it's that issue for me of getting that netting up. And I just think that would be, I think even Councillor Sizeland talked about it being a cost-effective option. And I think we ought to look at that most strongly as the potential to alleviate that problem for that poor lady where the ball keeps going over. Because when we take it down, we'll get rid of the noise, but the issue of getting the ball going over is the bit for me that I really would like to see being affected. I've just been looking, and that the netting up and everything would stop the ball. The repairs would stop the resonating, so the noise is reduced. And then the ball issue for us, which we've all heard about, we fully recognise that that's a problem for the lady, would alleviate that problem. I would like that to be considered.
Thank you, Councillor Dales. No,
thank you.
Then Councillor Young. Councillor Van, please.
Yeah, just can we not get emergency repairs on this straight away? Get the company out here to get that fixed and proper, because it is a noise issue. The only thing I have with it is those good people across from it, where the ball's still going into their garden, kids running in trying to get it. I think we should point out and get this fence sorted instead of just taking it down. Get emergency people, crew in, and get it done.
If Councillor Van, if we just come back to you on that, yeah, I fully understand what you're saying. The point that Chris is trying to make, and myself, is that the extension has fallen into such a state of disrepair that it's no longer proven to be of any benefit. It may stop your ball going down into the neighbour's garden, but it's actually making the situation worse with the amount of noise that it's generating. So it's beyond. I don't think it's at that stage where it can be saved. I think it's something that we need to look at. And I've spoken to our clerk this week, and I've spoken to Councillor Seidel, and they're happy to speak to anybody. We've got a number of ideas that we are trying to float, but these things don't happen quickly. But short term, we can maybe address the noise issue by taking ill-fitting panels down. That was the suggestion behind that. However, this goes to the means. Chris, Councillor Seidel, should say, has made he's put that forward for the vote. So would anyone like to second what Councillor Seidel has said? Emma, I would if I am allowed to.
You are.
Oh, sorry, Councillor Walters has seconded it. Right, those in favour, could you please raise your hand? So that's 2 for. Okay, so that's 2 for those against. Well, that's interesting. Emma and Clark, I'm going to take some advice here from you, please. So we've got 2 for, and the rest have abstained. Therefore, I guess that motion is carried. Is that right?
Yeah, if all of you have agreed to remove them, then we can remove them temporarily. I will just mention to you, if you're looking into the net, it's not just the fence that would need planning permission. If the netting's going to be high, you're going to need planning permission for that. So you'll have to see if you can get planning permission for netting as well.
Can I speak, Jason?
Councillor Young, sorry.
Just to try and, because I say I can't vote on this committee, obviously, but just to try and help and clarify, I'm glad Emma had said that. There was one reason I was putting my hand up. Whether you have the fencing at the back or the netting behind, regardless of what happens there, we will have to go for planning permission. And under the planning permission rules and regulations, they will have to notify the neighbours, and the neighbours will have their chance of saying yes or no to either of those there and then, like that. And it would be down to the borough council as such and planning laws whether we could or we couldn't. So I would have liked to have a third one to have come along here in the respect of, I think you should be applying for your planning permission to see whether we can actually do it or not, whether it's netting on poles or whether it's the fence. But the other thing to say as well, on the quotes we have got, the Steelway were willing to take all that down, what you two have just spoken about, getting it taken down, and using the spares from that to repair the other end, which was half the quote, not just the fencing. They quoted that as a separate quote as such. And I was wondering whether or not it would be more prudent to actually get them to do that part of it. Otherwise, whoever takes the parts down, whether it's the park keeper, you or I or Chris, or Sue comes and does it, you know, whatever, it's a case of we're going to have to keep the bits so that they've got them to be able to repair the other end. I just wanted to make those notes, you know, while you're making your deliberations.
Noted, Councillor Lynn, thank you very much. Emma?
Yeah?
I've got another motion that I'd like to put forward, actually.
Okay.
Am I allowed to do that as chair?
Yeah, you can, of course, can you?
Okay. So this is to the Amenities Committee. It's clear that this mugger is a situation that's not going to be resolved in a 40-minute council meeting. My proposal would be that we sat again in whole and discuss only the mugger and the way forward. I believe that the time has come for us to act as a council and act quickly, but I don't believe that we can do that by spending only 20 minutes talking about it. Does anyone got anything to say about that? Councillor Dales?
Yeah, couldn't agree with you more, Chair. Like to include the skateboard park in with that mugger side as well, and we have it in isolation. you're absolutely right. We're getting to the point under pressure of time now.
Yeah.
And I think that would be ideal. I'd be more than happy to second that proposal.
Okay, before we move on to that proposal, Councillor Bam, please, and Councillor Walters. Councillor Bam, please.
Yeah, Jason, I'm 100% behind you with that. On that, let's go and sit down and discuss this, because, to be honest with you, and I know you've done health and safety stuff like that. I'm only reading off what I can find on Google or whatever you call it, on the interweb. So yeah, I think it'd be giving us a chance, because the way I was looking at it, if we're going to knock that down, or take it down, I would have liked to seen a net there to protect the properties over the ball. But I think, yes, with the skateboard and all, it would be an idea where we all sit down and chat about it and get it sorted.
Sorry, Councillor Bam. Councillor Walters, sorry.
I was just going to say I agree with you. I mean, I've been round to see a few of the neighbours and I had a couple of meetings with them, and just taking it down isn't going to solve the problem. Putting a net isn't going to solve the problem. So we need to sit down proper and all go to the park as an amenities group, and all of us listen to it and see and put our ideas when we're there, I think. Because it's easy discussing it in a room, but you need to be there, don't you? Same with the skate park.
Okay, Emma, can you help me with that? So I've put that forward. I need a seconder for that.
Yeah, I think Tony seconded.
Okay, so Councillor Dales has seconded it. All in favour of a special meeting regarding that area of the park? I think that's carried.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. So I guess really the important bit now is to make a date. So ASAP, please. I think the sooner that we can all get together, the better, and we can start to move this situation forward. Councillor Dale.
To email out.
Chair, sorry, I was interrupting.
I was just going to say, because I know that Jason's back in work. Is a Friday afternoon better? Because obviously I think Phil needs to be there with us. So
yes, Friday afternoon would be better for me.
Yeah. That's fine with me.
Chair, my point was we need this probably in the next 2 weeks. I don't think it's a month or anything like that.
No.
We need to get this sorted. I really am feeling that as a committee we can make a difference here, and that needs to be done quickly. So I'm totally behind everything that's been said there, Chair, in relation to what you proposed.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Seisland.
Are you talking on side, Jason?
Let's go back to the councillor Seisland. So we could choose to do a Zoom meeting where we can talk about it, or we can actually visit. In fact, there's no reason why we can't visit prior to the meeting, but
a visit.
Visit.
Okay.
Do it on a Friday afternoon in the park, and we can see the kids there and see the problem.
Absolutely.
Okay. Can we all buy into that, please, and then we can move this forward?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, Emma, can you arrange that for us, please, then, Emma?
Yeah, will do.
Thank you very much. So in that respect, then, so we're going to include the skate park in that meeting.
Yeah.
So we'll move quickly onto the football pitch now. Now this is in relation to the mugger, actually. So if I could start on this, please, Council. I've spent some time in there haranguing young children for their views as to how they see the park moving forward. And one of the issues that they came up with is they use the mugger purely and simply because the goal is protected by a net. Now, if we could offer them some sort of protection on the actual football pitch behind the goals, we would see a chunk of the users actually going onto the grass pitch and using that. So that would help with noise, the ball going into gardens, etc. So that's why I've asked for this to be put onto the agenda. Sue's actually shared a picture of something similar that I have in mind that she spotted at Bakewell Park. So this is something that I wanted to share with you and test your opinions on these. Councillor Dales.
Yeah, just a quick thought, Jason. Councillor Young talked about planning permission and all that sort of thing. could agree with you more in what you're proposing. It's just making sure we can do it and we aren't being blocked by any planning issues.
Yeah.
Perhaps Councillor Young can answer that for me.
Great point, yeah. Thank you, Councillor Dales. Councillor Young, can you come back to that?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What I would suggest on that, because you're going to decide to have a meeting on a Friday afternoon, I would suggest the way forward would be to get Sue or Emma, whichever, whoever, however, to get in touch with the planning department and as actually go for some planning as such, some advice from them, because the first bit's free. And then if they say we need plans and we've got to put them in, well, let's go for them and find out if we can get it.
Yeah,
Because
do
either
it,
which way, you're going to want to stop the balls going in the gardens.
do it on the day, correct.
Councillor Young, Emma,
Yeah.
is that something that we can do, please?
Yeah, I'll email them.
And just to see what kind of planning we may need if we decide to go down that road.
Yeah, I'll ask them in terms of what height and all that kind of thing, because there's probably just a height limit. So if you don't go over that, I'll just ask them and I'll email it out to you all before we meet up on the Friday, hopefully.
Thank you very much. Any other further questions, Councillor Walters?
Are you were just saying about the lads play, I know for a fact they'd rather play on the grass and everything. Are you just talking about kind of putting nets up on the goalposts?
No, actually, there are two things that I would like the council to explore. One of them is actually to put football nets up, potentially. Yeah. I understand that there's an issue with them being damaged, so I did wonder if there was a way that we could go down the road of finding a fixed goal that was almost vandal-proof, if there is such a thing. I mean, because anything that we put in there is subject to antisocial behaviour and the like. So there's that possibility. Then there's also, as the mail from Sue showed, the opportunity to put a fencing up further back from the goal, so that when they actually play and they score the goal, one of the issues is that when they score a goal, the ball travels 60 or 70 yards away, and the mugger offers them that protection. They can just shoot at it; it keeps coming back to them. So the idea is to try to take some of the traffic away from the mugger, which actually might effectively help us reduce the cost on what we want to do, because we might start to move the traffic into the centre of the park anyway. Anybody else got anything they'd like to add to that? I think this is probably something that we could discuss again on Sunday on Friday when we're on site. I don't know if anyone's got any objections to doing that. Is it?
No, I agree with that.
Okay, so Emma, we'll discuss that when we're on the Friday as well. So again, with time in mind, I don't want to rush this. We've only got 15 minutes. So can I propose that we move the lawn mower and one or two bits into the next meeting, Emma, so we can get through some of these other parts?
Yeah, I was going to say, if we're going to be meeting in the next week to do just the mugger, you're going to want maybe the following week have an actual full amenities meeting. Yeah. We can put on what we've not gone through, plus obviously what's happened with the mugger.
Okay, yeah. Fabulous. Are we in agreement with that, Councillor? Yeah. Okay, yeah. Councillor Walters?
I'm just saying, if we're going to meet in the park, aren't we best putting like the benches and everything that's to do with the park in that meeting, so we can see where the benches are that are the problem and look ourselves, and so that takes a bit more off the list tonight.
Well, noted, Councillor Walters. I did want us to just touch briefly on the benches in this evening's meeting, Councillor Walters. I was happy to move the lawnmower quotes into the next one. And the antisocial behaviour into the next one, but the two and potentially some of those others. But if we could just try and get through some of these quickly, the benches is an important one to me, because we've got quite a few issues surrounding these benches in the park. So if everyone's in agreement, can we just touch on these benches tonight, please? So I've sent you all an email with my thoughts on a particular bench. I was contacted by a member of the public who is suffering beyond belief with antisocial behaviour on the edge of his property. I believe he's written to the town hall twice, and he was informed that we would discuss it at this next meeting, and that's why I've added it to the agenda. After his meeting, again, I spent a week in the park watching to make sure that what he was telling me was actually true, and I can confirm it is true. So I've sent you an email out, and what I would like support for tonight is the immediate withdrawal of that bench at the back of Sevens Hordens Road until we can find it a more suitable location. I have sent you all an email. I'd like to receive your thoughts, please. Councillor Ban. Councillor Ban?
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that, Jason. I think that bench should be moved. But the simple fact is, yeah, if it is causing milder and what has been going on there, yeah, it may stop that corner being used. I know what you're talking about, and I'm in agreement with you on that one, I have to say.
Thank you, Councillor Ban. Councillor Dales? Total
agreement, Chair. We're talking here of potential drug-related stuff, criminal offences, etc., etc. It's something we need to liaise with the police about as well when we define what we're going to do. But that removal, in my opinion, will remove the problem straight away. You have my support.
If I could just go back to you all on that, I mean, the police are aware of activities in our Memorial Park currently. I'm not asking for the removal of the benches. I'm asking for us to visit as a council and say, let's have a revisit of their current locations and see if we can actually, it's an idea actually I've stolen from Councillor Sizeland. We currently, our benches, when they were put in, would have been free from as much vegetation as we currently have. And I think they've developed into hidey holes, which is encouraging antisocial behaviour. I think if the benches were brought more into the open and into different locations, I think we'd retain the seating, but we'd actually retain a user-friendly park status. Anybody else? Councillor Ban.
Yeah, also, the reason why I'm in agreement with that, if we take it down, it's a trial, isn't it? So it's showing the people who have come to you and complained, you know, that we are listening to them as councillors in the community. And if it is one that's causing problems, then the relocation can be done between us all, where we can move it to, that they can't use it as a hideout.
Councillor Sizeland. Thank you, Councillor.
110% agree. I think temporarily we should just move it into maybe the park keeper's hut till we can sort out. But that be a short time fix for one problem. And if you want to propose a seconder, I'm your man. Or I'm putting lots of people before me, so let them instead.
Councillor Dales.
Yeah, it's blighting this guy. We rely on you here, Chair. You've spoken to him. You've been there looking at it. This is a significant problem. Come on, let's get it moved, and let's then talk about what we're going to do. Total agreement.
Can I propose that, please?
Sorry, Councillor Stella. Then sorry, Councillor Walters. Then Councillor Ban. Sorry. Councillor Walters, you're on mute.
Oh, sorry.
I've unmuted her. It's all right.
Okay, thank you.
No, you're on mute, Councillor.
Right, I just want to say to agree with you, Jason. It's just I wanted us to look at the benches when we go to the park for this reason.
Absolutely.
Because we've only one bench. So yeah, because they spoke to me about it, and I think take it away now, and then we can discuss it while we're in the park. So yeah, I'd back you 100% as well.
Councillor Ban.
Yeah, just asking if we can propose to get a seconder and get it voted in.
Okay, so would anybody like to propose that?
I'll propose.
Councillor Ban, seconded by Tony. Councillor Dales, all in favour?
Yep.
Okay, I believe that's carried then, Emma.
Yeah.
So if we could just ask the park keeper to remove that ASAP and give us an opportunity to look at relocating in a different place.
Yeah, it's fine. I'll put it back on the agenda, like Stella said, and we can look at all the benches then while we're there.
Can we make that bench move quickly though, please, Emma?
Yeah, I'll speak to him tomorrow in the morning.
That's much appreciated. Thank you very much. Okay, Council, so antisocial behaviour we could discuss for hours. Can we move that to the next meeting, please?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All in favour? Yeah, cool. Right, the next one, the COVID snake. I'm quite excited about this one. I've got my own thoughts on this one.
Yeah.
Can we just briefly discuss this? I heard Chris's proposal earlier about wanting to join it into the planter. The reason why I've asked for this to be added to the agenda is that I've been approached by a number of our neighbours who have asked if we could consider making this COVID snake a permanent fixture in the park. I think it's a fabulous idea, and my idea would have been was maybe we could make a little competition of it and involve the junior school when they go back, and maybe ask them for to buy into a competition for the best design and how they would like to see it in their park. So that's why I've asked that. So any thoughts on that, please?
Can I just say, I don't know if Councillor Young wants to say anything, but when we were in the park looking at the mugger, the lady who actually started the snake came and spoke to us.
Yep.
Yeah, and Councillor Young was there. Yeah. Yeah, he's muted. But I think we ought to involve her because I think she's got some ideas as well.
Oh, fabulous. Yeah. It's just an idea, Sue, that rather than the council take on the decision making on this one, I think if we involve, it was just an idea to involve the school, involve the lady that's, get loads of ideas on it and then see what.
I think she'd be very happy with that idea.
Yeah. So while we were looking at the mugger, she came and spoke to you, Sue, didn't she? And got a telephone number and everything. And I think she would be very happy to do so. Where it is now along the edge of the path, it's to probably get lost in the grass and people and all that. I think it would be a nice feature. And like you say, Jason, whether you use the children from any of the schools or whatever, but use the lady who wanted to keep it as well and make it a proper feature in the park somewhere.
Perhaps we could let the lady choose the winner.
Yeah, not a bad idea.
And if I could just move forward, sorry, councillors, I've seen that you're waiting. If I could just move forward as well, I'd like to suggest that, given what I've read on the old book this weekend about stones being taken, is now the time to protect what's left. And do we take them as a collective now, so that we've still got them, or do we leave them there with the risk of them being taken? Thoughts, please. Councillor Dales?
Yeah, I think we should take them down and preserve them. Otherwise, we're going to be having kids coming up with that. I think what I was going to say, Chair, was that the idea of the kids coming up with the idea and the lady voting on the winner, what we don't want is that to happen and we haven't got anything hardly left to do anything with. It'd be no point. So I think we should preserve. I think we should preserve it. And if anybody asks questions about us doing that, then we've got a position through the council to say why we've chosen that route.
Okay, thank you. Noted, Councillor Dales. Councillor Walters, please.
I was going to suggest taking it up because when I was there the other day with my grandson, was when the lawnmower goes over it, it moves them all. And we're getting on the other side and everything. So it's getting damaged and it's a shame. A lot of people have put a lot of work in it.
Thank you, Councillor Walters. So have we got a proposal that we take the COVID snake and keep it safe?
I propose, Chair.
Yeah, I'll second it.
Thank you. All those in favour? Councillor Cobb, Councillor Ban. Okay, all those against? Okay, so I think we've a definitive there, haven't we, Emma?
Yeah.
Yeah, we okay with that?
Yeah, so I'll speak to Phil again about starting to take it up and
I'm happy to help collect it, and maybe we should inform the community why we're doing it, so that they don't just think that we're taking it away.
We could put it on the council Facebook page, and obviously if Sue's got the contact details for the lady, she can.
Can I just check that, Clark, that's okay, that what we've just done there, please, Clark? Yeah, thank you very much, Sue. Yes. Okay, the next one is I'm really excited about this one again, but I do get excited very easily. But I think we can move this on to the next meeting. And so if everyone's in agreement, Everyone in agreement with that one? We can discuss at the next meeting. Thank you very much. Okay, number 4, Needham's Recreation Ground update. Emma?
We can do that at the next one if you want.
Yeah, that's
we really need to speak to Phil about a lot of these things, really.
Right. Okay. So, councillors, is there any one of those left that we'd like to discuss tonight? Bearing in mind that there's a planning committee meeting in 4 minutes, or you're happy for us to
Chairman,
fortnight and take up?
Chairman, I think you need to look at number 6 very quickly about the tram lines and the lays, about that wall and that. Which process you want to do? Whether you want to have another single meeting just for that, because I think we're going to need some legal stuff done on this one.
Well, actually, Councillor Young, it was me who added that to the agenda, and it wasn't about the wall. It was about tidying the tram line up. Actually,
Have you put me in the waiting room, Emma, please?
Sorry, Councillor Seisland, you're very poor on my behalf. That.
Sorry about that. Sorry about that.
Okay.
He's in.
Okay. Okay, Emma. So what? Just quickly then, before we run out of time, is that the tram lines outside at the back of the lays, at the side of the lays, Emma. Yeah. I was thinking it might be a project for us maybe during the winter to try and tidy it up, which is why I asked it to have it on the agenda.
Right. Well, again, we could speak to obviously that Phil's going to need to have a look at that with us, isn't he? You know, bearing in mind. Phil
absolutely, yeah. I mean, I hoped Phil was going to be here tonight actually, so that I could run it past him. But yeah, I'd like that to be discussed in length actually.
Yeah. So what I can do is, if we're having the meetings on a Friday afternoon, you know, we can make sure Phil's with us, because obviously this is what he does, isn't it? And he's the best person to speak to about a lot of it. So if everyone's happy, we can discuss that with Phil. Yeah, on Friday afternoon.
Dales, please.
Yeah, just very quickly, where we're looking at improvements, the idea of cleaning up and everything, something I really want to support and be involved in from an active point of view. Bit more time on my hands now, very shortly. So, yeah, I'm in total agreement with that, Chair.
Thank you. Noted, Councillor Dales. Emma?
Yeah.
I really wanted to try and get through them all, but because of the amount that we had on there, I didn't think it was going to be possible. So can we, if we were to, am I allowed to call an end to the meeting at 7:30 and then say that
Chair, could we just do this part 2?
Oh, of course. Sorry. Yeah. Have we got time to do the part 2? Clark, Sue, have we got time to do the part 2? Yeah, before the planning.
Yeah, we'll do it quickly. Just let me put Chris back in, and then.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I'm going to have to put the members of the public in the waiting room. So I'll just do this quickly.
Yeah.
There's quite a few of them, so I'm going to be a while. Hold on. I don't want to miss anybody.